Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are continuing with Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter number 16. And we will read from verse number 4 onwards. Text 4. Dambo darpo abhimanascha krodaha parushyam evacha ajnanam cha abhijatasya partha sampadam asurim. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Pride, arrogance, conceit, anger, harshness, and ignorance. These qualities belong to those of demoniac nature, O son of Pritha. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So we see what happened last week was we heard about the 26 qualities of divine nature, right? So now here Krishna is talking about the opposite, divine, and the opposite is demoniac nature. So verses 1 to 3, 26 divine qualities, the same will be covered in chapter number 17, which is the next chapter. And what does Krishna say? That when one develops these divine qualities, how? By practice. It doesn't come overnight. We have to practice to acquire them. Then one will reach the highest platform of transcendental realization. This is what Krishna says. And finally, a person will get liberation. Now, Arjuna was a little doubtful. He was wondering, do I have divine qualities or do I have demoniac qualities? So Krishna confirms and he says, Arjuna, you have divine qualities. Now one may say, how? Why? Because Arjuna was not acting whimsically. Oh, spur of the moment, this is what I want to do. No. And he was not working under the influence of anger or pride or anything. No. Here we see today's verse, demoniac qualities, they actually begin with arrogance. And there is pride, anger, conceit, harshness, ignorance. Mainly it's ignorance. If there's no knowledge, then how will a person develop those divine qualities? And Krishna says, all these demoniac qualities, where do they take us? It is a royal road to hell. And what is the result of these demoniac qualities? A person starts becoming entangled, bondage, there's bondage, and then there is devastation. Those who are of this nature, with demoniac qualities, Krishna says, they do not know what is right and what is wrong. They need to know. Knowledge is very important. Why is Bhagavad Gita given to us? It was spoken 120 million years ago. Then it was re-spoken 5,000 years ago to Arjuna for our benefit. So we can understand the difference between divine qualities and demoniac qualities and what's the result. Every action has a reaction. So if we develop divine qualities, naturally the consequences or the reactions are going to be good. And it's the other way. If we develop demoniac qualities, then definitely there's going to be bondage and devastation. So those who have acquired demoniac natures, they don't know what's right, what is wrong. There was this gentleman, he used to work very hard. He used to do 2 jobs because he didn't have enough money and he wanted to save up a lot of money. So he decided that the paycheck that I get from one job, I am going to use it to run my, house, like food, shelter, etc., whatever it may be. And the other job salary, I am going to save it in a savings account, so that when I grow old, when I retire, I'll have enough savings to, be able to live. So he would, every paycheck that he got from the second job, he would go and deposit. Then came a time when he retired, and he was very excited. He thought, I have saved up so much money, and now I'll be able to lead a comfortable life. I don't have to go to any job. So when he went to the bank and he, wanted to know what is the balance of his savings account, and the cashier looked up the account and said it's zero. He almost got a heart attack. What? I've been saving for so many years and the account has zero balance. He said, no, there must be some error. Please look into it. And so they did some research. And, banks, they always keep the deposit slips, right? Okay, so if I'm going to deposit $1,000, they have a record of it, that, okay, it's my signature. I signed, I deposited, so much amount in such and such account. So when they did research, they found out that, yes, he signed, the amounts were correct, but the account number was wrong. He was putting money into someone else's bank account. This is what we do in this material world. We are putting all our energies, efforts, everything in the wrong account. We are only talking about material life, how to eat well, how to dress well, how to enjoy this. What about the spiritual bank balance? We are filling up our material bank balance, but spiritual bank balance also needs to be filled up, because after we give up this body, it is the spiritual bank balance that is going to help us. It's going to decide whether we are going to come back into this material world or we get liberated and go back to the spiritual world. So here Krishna is guiding us to help us understand divine natures and demoniac natures. Very, very important. Another thing Krishna talks about is they are dishonest, they are unclean, and they have no trust in God. We meet so many people in our lives where people say, I don't believe in God. There is no God. Does that mean there is no God? Just because, say right now, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, and I say, no, I'm in India right now. Whoever wants to say whatever they want to say, but I think I am in India right now. Does that make it right? No. That is ignorance. It doesn't matter what we believe. It doesn't matter what we say. We have to go by the instructions given by the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita. So those who don't have trust in the Supreme Lord, then Krishna says their intelligence is lost. And then they think, I am the controller, I am the enjoyer. How can we call ourselves controller when we cannot even control our body, right? Can we control the blinking of our eyes? Can we control old age? Like, I don't want to grow old. I always want to be 16 years old. Is that possible? We have no control over even our body or mind or senses. So how can we be the controller? You see? So Krishna explains, even Srila Prabhupada explains, that those who are obsessed, obsessed by lust, pride, false prestige, this is all, they want to increase their enjoyment. They work very, very hard and they want to enjoy unlimitedly. I remember a few decades ago when I was working in a corporate office, there was this gentleman. He was probably 70 years old at that time. So, and he wasn't keeping too well also. So one day I just inquired from my colleague that, why are you struggling so hard? You have worked for almost 50 years of your life you worked. I'm sure you must have saved up enough, Why do you want to still work so hard? He said, well, my goal, he told me his goal. My goal is I'm working so hard so that I can save enough money so that I can become a member of the golf club because I like to play golf. So immediately I was thinking, he's working so very hard, even at this age. Why? Just so that he can put a ball in a hole. What does golfing mean? You just put a ball in a hole, right? You go to the golf club. I don't know whatever it's called. They just put a ball, try to put a ball in a hole, and you're working so hard so that you can play golf when you retire. So people unfortunately do not understand the purpose of human form of life, which is self-realization. People get stung by desires. And when those desires are not fulfilled, they become so anxious and become so angry, right? And I have met some people who want to become very rich very quickly. Like, as if there is a tree with dollars growing in your backyard, where you can pluck those dollars out. They want to become rich, very rich. And in that process, they are suffering anxiety and they're getting more and more bound up in illusion. And then they get so attached to this materialistic life that Krishna says at the end of life, then they have to go to hell. Why? Because they have committed sinful activities. They are deluded by wealth. They are deluded by false prestige. And there are some who even make a show of it. And I have seen some who even make a show of spiritual life, that I am so elevated, I have this knowledge and that knowledge. Now, Krishna says those who have these demoniac qualities or natures, he says he throws them into lower species of life. Topmost species is, of course, human form compared to animals, aquatics, whatever it may be, different species, 8.4 million species. So he says he drops them into the lowest species of life, action and reaction. It's very, very simple. We cannot blame the Supreme Lord for our actions. So it's important that we perform our actions based on knowledge. We make proper choices, because along with every choice comes a consequence. That is very, very important to understand. I'm not sure how many of you are aware, excuse me, of Lord Indra. He's considered to be what you call the Lord of Heaven. He's the Lord of Heaven. And he one time had actually insulted or disrespected, that's the right word. He had once disrespected his spiritual master. That's very deep. That one should be very, very careful. How can we disrespect someone who gives us knowledge, who gives us guidance? So he had disrespected, so he was cursed to become a hog, a pig in the material world. From the heaven, he was dropped into this material world as a pig. Wrong choice, right? He made that choice of disrespecting his spiritual master, and so the consequence was he got the body of a hog or a pig. And he was so engrossed in enjoying as a pig. He had his wife, he had little piglets, little babies, and he was in, what is that called? In the gutter, where there is a waste. What do pigs do? They eat rubbish, right? They are in the gutter and that's their food. So he was so happy with his little family. A long time passed and he would not come back to heaven. So Lord Brahma had to come down and said, excuse me, you are king of heaven. You are Indra. What are you doing over here? He said, don't disturb me. I'm very happy. Look at my babies. Look at my wife. So beautiful. I am so happy. See the consequences. We have to be very careful with our actions, what kind of actions we are performing, because we have to face reactions, whether we like it or not. So this human form of life is very, very rare. So we need to make sure we do not get into the evolutionary cycle, because once a living entity falls down into the lower species, then they have to go through the whole evolutionary cycle before they can come back to the human form of life. See, human form of life is meant for purification, for self-realization, to also qualify ourselves to go back to the spiritual world where we belong. So when we follow Bhagavad Gita, it helps to uplift our consciousness, you see. So Krishna in this chapter now talks about 3 gates leading to hell: lust, anger, greed. These are the 3 gates to hell. So if we are kind of entangled in these 3 disqualifications, lust, anger, and greed, then Krishna says one will definitely go to hell. So these are the 3 gates leading to hell. Now one may say, what is lust? Lust is not just between opposite sex. No, lust could be, for power, for fame, for money, for position. It could be in any form, you see. And also, the desire to fulfill or please our own senses, have an ulterior motive, always be engaged in enjoying. What is the result? According to Bhagavad Gita, it leads to degradation. Slowly, one's intelligence is lost and one falls down. In chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explained it very nicely. He said that when the senses come in contact with sense objects, then there is attachment. Right? We see something and we get attached to it because we want it, we desire it. And when that desire is not fulfilled, it leads to anger. Anger leads to bewilderment of memory. Then the intelligence is lost and then a person falls down. This is what Krishna explains in chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita, right? So gradual degradation takes place. In olden days, right? Say in Satya Yuga. So there are 4 yugas, 4 cycles, right? Satya, Treta, Dwapar, and Kali. We are in Kali Yuga. So in Satya Yuga, people used to say Atithi Devo Bhaya. Means they would treat the guest like God. Atithi means a guest. Devo Bhaya, treat them as God. Then when Treta Yuga, started the next one, then people would say Shubhalabh, which means good luck to you. Then in Dwapar Yuga, people said Suswagatam, which means welcome. Now in Kali Yuga, what signs do we have? So we used to have these signs outside the house in Satya Yuga, Treta, Dwapar. In Kali Yuga, what do you think is the sign? The sign is beware of dogs. There is no guest like God, no good luck, no welcome. It's only telling us beware of dogs, degradation. And Krishna says, when lust is not satisfied, it leads to greed. It is said, one can satisfy an angry person, a thirsty person, a hungry person, but one can never satisfy a greedy person, because greed has no end. So Krishna is saying that if we do not, identify what natures we have, whether it's divine or demoniac, then it is possible there's going to be a fall down. Why possible? There will be a fall down. Anger is actually 1 letter short of danger. If you put letter D in front of anger, it becomes danger. right? So anger leads to danger. Very, very true. So say, for instance, we throw a pebble in a pond. So there's a pond with a lot of water. We throw a pebble. What happens? There are ripples. So when there are ripples, we cannot see the fishes in the water. Why? Because there's so much disturbance there. There are ripples. Only when the water settles down that we are able to see the fishes inside. So you see, these pebbles, they are like circumstances thrown in a pond of our consciousness. Just imagine, the pond is our consciousness, and these pebbles are different circumstances that are thrown in there. So there are ripples of agitation. Something goes wrong, we get agitated. And then when that happens, then we cannot see the fishes in the pond, which means we cannot see the situation as it is. Then the mind works over time, and then we have different perceptions, and then we start thinking this and that or whatever. So if one stays calm, then the anger will go away. I had heard one time that if supposing a situation makes one angry, then the best thing is to take deep breath and chant Hare Krishna in your mind. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And then the mind starts calming down. So anger is very, it's actually one of the gates that's leading to hell. So you got to be very, very careful. Krishna is guiding us, showing us a way so that we can avoid the 3 gates to hell. And what does anger do? It damages everything, right? First of all, it brings about a chemical reaction in the body. When there is anger, there's chemical reaction in the body. And that's why people they stop thinking. They stop using their intelligence, and they just say whatever comes in their mouth, whatever, it's afterwards realize, oh no, I shouldn't have said that. And this is all because of anger. It is scientifically proved that many cells in the body get destroyed because of anger. So Krishna says those who are sane people, those who are intelligent people, they avoid these 3 gates leading to hell. One must try to escape these gates if we are already approaching them, run away from them, and try to understand oneself, become self-realized. Try and understand, who am I? Am I this body which is changing every 7 years? All the cells in the body are replaced every 7 years. I don't look like the way I look like when I was 5 years old or 10 years old or 15 years old, right? The body has changed. So try and understand who we really are. Try and remove these unwanted things from the heart, like lust, anger, greed, etc. Then Krishna says in this chapter, that those who do not believe in the scriptures and they just live their lives based on their own speculation. I'm sure you must have come across people, who don't believe in God, or some believe in God, but they have their own interpretation about God. According to me, this is God. In my opinion, this is God. That is own speculation. Then Krishna says, for such people who do not believe in scriptures, there's no perfection, there is no happiness, and there's no supreme destination. So very important. But if these 3 things are our goal, we want to be perfect, we want permanent happiness, we want supreme destination, then there's no choice but to believe in the instructions of the Supreme Lord given in the Bhagavad Gita. So if we understand, like in chapter 3 and 5 of Bhagavad Gita, Karma Yoga, action in Krishna consciousness, if we understand our prescribed duty, if we follow the scriptures and we act according to that, then definitely we will be able to get permanent happiness and also achieve supreme destination, which is the spiritual world. So these divine qualities that Krishna explained in verses 1 through 3 of this chapter 16, they bring happiness. Excuse me. I don't know anybody in this world who doesn't want to be happy. I have never heard anyone praying to the Lord in the temple or church or mosque or wherever, please give me miseries. Please make me sick. Please make me old as soon as possible. No, we don't pray for that. Nobody wants that. Everyone wants to be happy. But unfortunately, people don't know where to find happiness. I'm not sure if I've related this story before, but I'll say it anyway. Excuse me. So there in a village, in villages in India, there are landlords, who are very rich people. And he had a daughter who lost her diamond necklace. She was playing somewhere and she lost her diamond necklace. So the landlord made an announcement that anyone who finds this diamond necklace will be rewarded heavily, like real big reward. So naturally, all villagers started searching because everyone wanted to become rich. So they were searching, and here was this one villager. He was passing by and he found the necklace. And he saw that there was a necklace floating in the pond of water. Now that pond was a little dirty, it wasn't clean. So he jumped in there to get that necklace so that he can become rich. But as soon as he jumped, it disappeared. The necklace was not there. He kept doing that again and again. He could see it, jump, but could not get it. There was a very saintly man passing by from there, and he noticed that and he smiled. So this villager got upset. Why are you smiling at me? He said, because you're doing something very stupid. You want the diamond necklace, right? He said, yes, I want. He said, but you're looking in the wrong place. He said, how come? I can see it. It's there in the pond. Look. He said, that is only a reflection. The necklace is hanging up there in the tree. You are not looking at the reality. You see? So the saintly person is a spiritual master who guides us. We think this is the truth, but he guides us and says, no, this is the truth. And that is what Bhagavad Gita also is teaching us. So if we want real happiness, permanent happiness, we need to look at the right place. Unfortunately, we ourselves don't know where to find it. So we need guidance. Just like this saintly man helped this villager to find the real diamond necklace, not the reflection in the water. Similarly, if we want to get real happiness, not the reflection of the happiness, what is a reflection of happiness? In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that happiness which is, pleasant in the beginning, but not pleasant at the end, right? In the beginning, very nice, but at the end, not so nice. But that, Radhika? Who is that? Somebody, okay. So happiness, which is bitter in the beginning and pleasant at the end, that is real happiness. Which means in the beginning, we work hard. We follow the instructions of Bhagavad Gita. We meditate on them. We follow them. Then that leads to permanent happiness. And that guidance we get from the spiritual master. In chapter 4 of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explained, Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadyakshanti te jnanam jnanina sattva darshina. That one must approach a bona fide spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, render service unto him. Then the self-realized soul will impart knowledge unto us because he has seen the truth. He is Tattvadarshinaha. He has seen the truth. He knows. Krishna explains that within each and every living entity, he's situated as the Param Atma, the super soul, right, to guide us. And without, outside, he is present in the form of bona fide spiritual master. See, guiding us both from within and without. That reminds me that in 2 days, yes, on Tuesday, today is Sunday, on Tuesday, I'm going to Baltimore to meet my spiritual master, someone who has been guiding me for 35 years now. He's coming to Baltimore. So I'm going there for about 8 to 10 days and to get guidance, to hear from him, to get instructions from him so that I can progress more on my spiritual path. So next Sunday, there will be no class because I will be in Baltimore listening to his class. So obviously, I will not be able to give a class next Sunday. But definitely, week after that, I will definitely be taking a class. Very soon, we are coming to the end of the Bhagavad Gita. Today, we concluded chapter number 16. So as always, I always talk about chanting the holy names of the Lord, because chanting can help us to not only purify our mind, body, senses, intelligence, but also it can bring about spiritual happiness, permanent happiness. So I'm going to chant just a few times on these very holy beads. So it's my humble request that all of you also please chant with me. And I'm not sure if there are any, probably Philip is come for the first time, I'm not sure. But anyway, here are some of the links if you're interested in. And at the end, you can see that there is the mantra, Maha Mantra, that I will chant for a few times. So please join with me. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Thank you, Christina, for chanting with me. I appreciate it. So I'm going to end now. If anyone has any questions or comments, you are very welcome to ask.